How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you guys?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Where are you?
At home. I'm based half an hour from Quebec, like up north in the mountains from Quebec City. Like
Okay.
I just bought like a year ago a house with my girlfriend and my new son. My
Wow.
we new family, and we're like half an hour from Quebec City.
And JP, where are you?
Downtown Quebec City, man. Just finished the job, so I'm right here for you, man.
Excellent. So you seem very happy at the moment. Are you guys happy? How's the rest of the band? How's everybody doing?
I think everybody's fine. We had a rehearsal yesterday because there's a few festival coming and a tour coming up in Europe. So with a new album, new material. So we've just rehearsed yesterday. Everybody seems to be really happy. There's a lot of work to do and a lot happening right now with all the interviews and the new singles and everything. That's it's pretty electric right now. So I think this is why we're kind of on a good mood.
Yeah. So everybody's happy. So I'm assuming this is a happy album, right?
No.
No, that's a bad assumption.
So yeah, it's like not a happy album at all. It's
No.
basically about the end of civilization. So how do you switch from being like, cool, happy guys in everyday life to then writing lyrics that talk about the end of the world, basically?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we were actually, pacified human beings, I don't think we would play hardcore music at all. This is definitely like a way, to give a meaning, to suffering that is always there, always present in our lives. But somehow you have, to shape it. You have to give it a form, so that suffering, that negativity, that anger, that resentment, all finally, gets its meaning. So you have, to have, that kind, of cathartic mean, of expressing it. And that's why we play hardcore, actually, so we can go on the rest of our lives and be like casual human beings. But that don't mean because we smile that we're happy, though.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I'm obviously joking about all that.
Yeah.
So Merciless Destruction, that title gives you a hint of what's inside the album.
Yeah.
Where did this album begin? Talk to me about the catalyst moment for this album.
Yeah. Yeah, we actually, as a band, we never wanted, to do the same record twice. So it's very important for us, to always create something new, or at least have an album, that presents something different than what we used to do before. Get the Shot was always, known to be like a hardcore crossover band. So with that record, I really wanted, to have, more extreme and heavy influences on the song. So that's why this record sounds a lot like slam, death metal bands, everything blended with hardcore music. So it's a heavier and maybe tougher album, maybe the heaviest that we ever released so far, and it really blends with the feelings that actually were at the core source of the writing process. This record was written just before the pandemic, and it was really like it was a bad time personally in my life, and I really wanted like that super powerful record that would be like a vengeance toward this world that I hate so much. So that's how it came out.
Complete annihilation.
Was there one song that started the whole album where you're like, this is the direction we want to go in?
I always joke that we had a talk between the band, like where we are going, and most of the time we listen to the aesthetic and like the artistic views of JP, and the first thing that we said, like, it's like, what's happening in hell in Hellraiser, this is where I'm going. So like, all right, I'm following you. So we just we started with that, and we tried to build on that.
So what was the first song that came out of that idea?
The first song was Divination of Doom.
Yeah, exactly. The last single that we just released like last week.
Right. And did you say that the songs were all written before the pandemic?
Yeah, everything was written before the pandemic. Though we recorded that album during the pandemic, and the recording process was extremely awful because of all the measures, the sanitary measures that were in place here in Quebec. So it was a very, very long and difficult process. So that's why it took a lot of time, before we could be able to release the album. So we're very glad that it's actually coming out now.
Yeah. So when did you actually have it done?
Actually, it was supposed to be so much easier. Like we were supposed to enter studio in April 2020, and with Randy from Graphic Nature, Randy Leboeuf, and with the pandemic, we were forced to change course because he was not able to cross the border from the States, and we were not able to go over there. So what we had to do was to try to find a way to do it all in Quebec. And so we had our good friend, a Canadian friend, Christopher Rawson, who plays in the Walls of Jericho, and Stick to Your Guns, who came to Quebec City. We rented a space. We just finished putting like the final touches on the demos. We recorded some demos. We did most of the tracks, like with the tempos and everything, like putting the final kind of skeleton of the song. And then we had to record it was really hard because of the curfew and something like that. So we had to record the guitars in a studio in Quebec City. And then JP had to do the vocals in another studio, like that was proper for it, with a guy from House of Game studio in near like in the province of Quebec. And then we had to do the drums with Chris Donaldson at his studio in Montreal. So it got to the point like we had all these files, and it was so much harder than just being like the five of us in a room with one engineer and one producer or something like that, and just to focus on the song. Because most of the time, like sometimes there was like a few weeks between the sessions and something like that. So it kind of, it was a long process, and it was a burden at some point, but we are glad that it's now done, and it took shape the way it is.
I've seen your band live, and I can imagine that everything kind of comes together when you're in a room together rather than being in different places. That kind of like unified group aesthetic that you have is really strong with you guys.
Yeah, but this one is a bit different because I think like from what we've done in the past on our previous record, we wanted to have things sounded more organic, if I can say, or more natural. But for this time, like I think it was already decided this was going to be an album with like all the production needed, like all the overdubs needed, many vocal layers, many tracks of guitars. Like it's almost this point, like nothing was forbidden.
So we already kind of had a little bit of an intro about the album. We spoke about, even though you guys are kind of in a good place in life, it's not exactly a happy album.
Yeah, no, that will not happen. And actually, like the term to be happy in life is an overstatement, I guess. I've always struggled, and when I met JP like back 13 years ago, I feel like we connected because of our own struggle, like facing like the daily lives and just like our own struggle dealing with anxiety, depression, and some sort of different mental illness and stuff like that. So like to say that we're happy in life, I don't think I'll ever be happy. Like even when I'm holding my kid, I got a newborn. Actually, it's now 8 months old. But even when I'm spending quality time and I'm generally happy, I don't think that I am a happy person in the end. Like my life is peppered with happy moments, but I don't consider that I have a happy existence. Maybe it's because of chemical balance in my brain or something like that, or maybe it's the view. maybe I put too much pressure on what's happening in the world or something like that, or maybe I feel, I don't know, I don't want to use the term empath or woke or something like that, or do I read too much about situation? I don't know. I don't know what's my problem. I've been struggling with that for maybe most of my life.
But I think as human beings, we're all kind of somewhere on that scale between happiness and complete like panic. And you know, and I think especially when you become a father, you stop to a certain extent worrying about yourself, and now you have this human being that you're even more concerned about, and they have probably a longer future ahead of them than you, and you want them to have a better life than you do, and that just kind of adds a different kind of anxiety.
Yeah, and I don't really think about that because I put all my energy just to go 24 hours at a time to try to have a good day and to be present and to offer my best self to the people surrounding me. Like, and just that, it takes all my effort, just to be that and to stay sober and to just, I'm dealing with my own stuff. So I try to offer my best self, and I just focus on that 24 hours at a time. I know that's a motto for alcoholism, but this stays true for my mood swings and stuff like that. So I try to be good.
Yeah, but a lot of people that deal with these kind of anxieties, they might kind of plow that into alcohol or drugs or some kind of destructive behavior. But but you have this band that you can use as an outlet for some of that aggression.
Yeah.
I guess that's a big part of what makes get the shot, right?
Yeah, and even if I don't write the lyrics and I have my way, like I will always be like this project will always be a great way to channel all this energy and all this resentment and all this negativity or something like that. It's a great way to channel it and to focus on that. And like JP said, once we pacified, I don't think that we're gonna be in a hardcore band. I mean, hardcore is more than music. It's a statement too. Like so yeah. If we fully pacified, I'll pick up acoustic guitar, or I'll just go do another venture, and we'll see what happens. But so far we're still pissed off. So yeah, the record is an angry one still.
Yeah, it's definitely an angry one. I haven't heard the whole record yet, but the tracks that I've heard off it are very angry. But also the production is like massive on this record.
For our previous record, I remember like 10 years ago, we wanted to have something more that feels organic, and we really relied on the spontaneity, or to be spontaneous. Sorry. So this is what we tried to put on the record. And I remember like Gip, our guitar player, the one that writes some riff, it was like, yo, I want to have only one guitar on the right side, which is my guitar, and I want Tom to be the other one, like the rhythm only on the left side, like if it's a live show. And I don't want to have nothing that's not going to be on the record, or that we're not going to be able to play live on the record. So that was the statement for some previous work. But for this one, we said, okay, we have to create an album in a hard environment. Like we had to do some vocals over there in a studio, the guitar tracking in another studio, and the drums in another studio. We were not able to be all together at the same time. And we used some pre-production with drums, programming and something, because we were forced to. So I think that way we decided to just go all the way with it. Like we've put so many layers. If you hear JP's vocal on the album, he's doing everything. Nobody's doing no vocals. So if you hear some growl, it's JP. If you hear some high pitch, it's JP. If you hear some clean singing, it's JP. So except for the gang vocals, it's all him. And same with the guitar. I think we quad track. That's what we said. Most of the time we quad track for the choruses, which is like you just want to have like this massive sound for the choruses. But for this one, we said, let's go completely nut and just do 4 tracks of each guitar on all the record. So that's a massive thing to edit. And this is totally like an aesthetic that we wanted to go, and we're pretty proud of it.
Yeah, like I say, I think it sounds amazing. I think it's the best sounding Get the Shot album so far. But going back to your point, how does that then translate into a live environment? And is it going to sound the same in a live environment?
Yeah. Actually, I think it's more in the finishing. Like Chris Rawson, who worked on the demos with us and on the pre-production, when he heard the finished product, the album, he said like it sounds a lot cinematic. Like everything is like surrounded in low hands, and you got some layers that you can hear and some deepness and thickness. But what we do on the record, we're still going to be able to play it live. It's not like we added some extra, like there's no third guitar parts. There's no like synth or other instrument. It's just like what we do live, we just did many layers of it with different sounds. Like we use different amps and different things, but we're still going to be able to play the same album live.
Talking about the themes on the album, what do you think connects all the songs? What's a theme that connects everything together?
I think there is JP explains it better than me because he writes the song, but I know that the feeling that we all can agree on is that there's some kind, it's not a concept album, but every album has, I guess, from JP's point, a philosophical point of view on the self, like on Perdition. There was some struggles, and then you got Infinite Punishment, which is like feeling completely lost and leaving hell. But now the statement for Merciless Destruction is just to go berserk, like just to complete annihilation and just destroy everything. So this is like the biggest, if I can say, the biggest fuck you that we can say to the world surrounding us. Like we just surround ourselves completely to destruction.
Do you think that after the albums that came before this, where you were like fighting against things, that this is more of a I give up, I'm just going to be angry now?
I know that there were some struggle from the narrator's perspective sometimes, whether to be good in a bad environment and to wondering what your place is. And I think that from JP's perspective, but I'm really not sure. I don't want to misquote him or say words that is not coming from him. But I think he surrendered himself to the feeling of to be an angry guy in an ugly world, like, or maybe to be like, to respond violence with violence. I think that's it. Like you just, I don't think it was it a struggle? I don't know if it was a struggle to act good, because there's some that we've been raised in Christianity, and that's kind of the way that we question every day, like the morality of it, that we just are pissed off against it, and to try to be moral or be good or something in a bad, like when you face violence. And I think on this album is like you face violence with violence, so it's Violence Day every day.
When you meet fans, or when you talk to fans, whether it's at shows or other places, do you have conversations about the lyrics, or most fans just come into the show just to beat each other up and have a good time?
It depends. Like we have now we're talking about Steve is more like most of the time is, like I said, JP writes the lyrics, so it's more his field to talk about what's the profound meaning of things, and I'm more handling the side of the business aspects and the development of the band and like the kind of vision behind it. But when we talk to fans, sometimes like when we use satanic imagery and something like that, like we don't believe in nothing, so we are agnostic. So it's just because it's great imagery to use, like Satan, or to be angry against Christ, something like that. And we use some strong words and strong sentences to because it sounds cool. It's our metal influence. Like Slayer did it, and Dying Fetus did it, and a lot of people did it. So I used to have like "fuck your fate" flag on my cabinet, and it was just more like because it sounded good, and some fans came to me and questioned it, like, why are you hating my faith and what I believe, and I love your music, but it's so at some point I felt like, is it my role to push other to reflection or to confront them with hostility? So for a time I removed it, and then I said, no, this is my art, this is what I want to express. So I put it back, the flag, and actually at some point I just stopped being concerned about if I offend people or not. I don't know if I'm being clear, because I'm thinking like I'm just thinking out loud, but it's a form, it's an aggressive art, it's a violent art, and of course it's going to offend some people. Can we separate the movement and the culture that's in hardcore and metal from like the mass consumption and the product that is just music or mainstream music or entertainment? I don't think so. I think the message is a strong one, and it has to stay in the, if you come into a metal show, you cannot just go to like any event or just for entertainment because you think the music stomps and the music is good and something like that. There's a profound meaning behind it, and I think I can back it. I back my words. So yeah,
absolutely. And you mentioned two bands there, Dying Fetus, who actually I've seen tonight.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, with Knock Loose.
With Knock Loose.
Terror, my friends from Terror. Yeah,
it's going to be a good show. And obviously Slayer, you know, they've had a fair amount of controversy throughout their career, a lot of which they've kind of poked the stick. And, you know, they've done songs about Auschwitz where they got a backlash, people thinking that they were pro-Nazi when obviously they weren't. They have an album called God Hates Us All. That's obviously going to upset a few people. And with Dying Fetus, they're called Dying Fetus. That could upset a few people just for the name. But as you say, that's all part of the aesthetic, and hopefully nobody takes it 100% seriously, or not too anyway.
And when we talk about Slayer and maybe some gateway band like this, it's obviously they're going to receive more flack because they reach more audience and like maybe a larger audience, more mainstream people, because you play festivals and you are one of the top like big four or something like that. But when we talk about some death bands, like the lyrics in Cannibal Corpse, they don't seem to receive some flack from the internet, because everybody knows that they just go way over the top. Like it's like in a horror movie or something like that. It's just it's a violent heart, like I said. So I back it up. Like we use strong imagery, we use strong language, we curse a lot. We just this is what we do. We play aggressive music and violent music. So of course, if you come to a show, you're going to expect some of that. That doesn't mean that I'm not a good human being or something like that. I love to talk with the fans. I love to talk with the people. I can discuss different opinion. Personally, I don't care what are your beliefs. You are welcome to enjoy my show, but just see my show as it is. Like it's a form of provocation. It's a form of being together and to try to question ourselves about some kind of authority or some kind of forced thinking.
On the album, you have a couple of collaborations as well.
Yeah, of course.
Talk to me about that. How does that happen? Like, what do you think these people bring to the songs that wouldn't be there without them?
We always did some collaborations and some featurings, and we always love to do that. That for Merciless Destruction, we are really happy how it came, but it was really a pain in the ass to do during a pandemic. For our previous album, it was always like we surrounded ourselves from the people that it reflects where we were as a band. All the featuring, like first album was some people from Quebec City, then it was some people from Montreal, and then on Infinite Punishment we worked with Jesse from Stick to Your Guns as a management. He helped us a lot, so he was always around. He lived in Montreal, so he was on the album. And same with Alex Arian from Despised and Obi the Brave. He was on the album because we recorded in Montreal. So that was always like what reflects our life. So on this one, we've spent the last years on tour. Since 2017, we toured with Lionheart, we toured with Nasty. So obviously it was no questions asked for us to ask those people, those guys, to sing the songs with us on the album. So yeah, we gave the part, and they just killed it. They rocked it. And there's also some people from Quebec, because it's important for us. Like, there's not a lot of touring bands that comes from Quebec, sadly, because let's be honest, and that's another matter. But it's hard for French Canadians to find our place in the touring world, like internationally. So we always consider it's important for us to have some people, our closest friends from Quebec, on the record. So we have Victoria from Peer Pressure, and we have Dave from Northwalk that take a part. So that was done like in a friendly manner, just because this is part of what hardcore is all about. It's community. So
how much does the song change when you bring these people in? Are you surprised by what they do?
Most of the time, like, we kind of just give them the demos, and they just with the lyrics already written, and they do that what they are asked, because I feel like it's our song, we want it a certain way. So but there's some artists that likes to challenge us, like Matty from Nasty. He added some lines. He just did something that was more in his vibe. So he just said, I hope you like it, but I just feel I had to add those lines. So at first we lost our balance, like, oh, what are we going to do? This is not how we intended the song. So we just rode the waves, and we enjoyed it. And same with the video. I was expecting something in a certain way, like for the video of Blood Bather. But then Matty came up with something that's totally his style, more urban, more. I think like on the video we don't even see his face because he got a hoodie. So and I think like I laughed really hard because he's an artist too. So this is why he felt so.
It's quite menacing.
Yeah, man, he's a crazy, and I can. It was important for us to have like Lionheart and Nasty, because we toured with them a lot, but also because I feel, and I'm going to say it, like touring a few years with Nasty, you cannot just be you are influenced by their sound. They are one of the first one to do the beatdown. Like, they are some pioneer of the beatdown, European beatdown. So when you tour with them for many years, you just hear the sound, and at some point you received all this energy, so of course it's going to reflect. So it was an influence for us. I can acknowledge it.
So we've spoken about kind of making an impact with the music and the lyrics, and I think that definitely follows through to your artwork. Kind of always has. The album cover for this one is pretty full on. Tell me about where the idea came from and how you made it come to fruition.
JP has a lot. Everything that's concerned with the aesthetic and the vision, like artistic vision behind the band, the general idea, like the bird view of the band, like artistically, it's mostly coming from him. Like and we follow him. I guess we sometimes we question it. We're gonna give what's our thoughts about something, or what's our feedback about something. But most of the time we trust him to bring the bands to a certain level, because he knows, or he feels it, and that was his decision. Like, he wanted to go fully, like, if we sound and we bring back more of our death influence, let's go fully gore on that one. And I expected something more at first, something more sober, but he was like, no, I want something, let's go like full ballistic, like let's do it. And he presented to us to this great Ukrainian artist called Demorph, and we just went with it. He just said, let's do the biggest monster that we can do, and he destroys everything. The title of the album is Merciless Destruction. Here's the title of the songs. Here's some few words about like the quotes, the lyrics. Just be influenced by that, and that's what he did. It's total destruction. There's nothing left on this. There's a giant beast. There's some kind of the death riding it, and there's just death surrounding it. It's the end. I don't see what can happen in the scenery after that. There cannot be nothing. maybe an uprising from the people, but they're all chained. They're mostly dead. I don't know what can happen. It's total destruction. It's merciless destruction.
Merciless Destruction. And you said the artist is from Ukraine?
Yeah, exactly. We asked him like long ago, actually, and once again, I cannot talk for him, but I know that he was living in Russia when he created this, and he worked with a lot of Russian bands, and he even had a band. He's been involved in the slam and death scene for many years. He actually did one of the Black Dahlia Murders album too. So he was living in Russia, and at some point when the war happened, I saw him from afar, from the internet, just struggle with it, and he had to leave with his wife, and he had to kind of cut himself from all. He wanted to do it, like to cut himself from all his Russian surroundings. So I know that he struggled a lot, but he was not a closest friend. We only had like a relation of as an artist that we asked him to do the cover. So I wish him the best, because he's doing great work, and I want to see more of his work.
Absolutely. Let's hope so. So you mentioned that you like to bring in people from the Quebec scene.
Mm-hmm.
Like, who is exciting you in the Quebec scene at the moment?
There's a lot happening, actually. What is great, when we started, like back in 2009, there was not a lot of happening around. Like there was something in Montreal, nothing a lot in Quebec, and we played in front of 15-20 people for some years, and we had to create our own environment, and to just we played some small venues, we played some bars like in the suburbs, just to find a place and to create our own thing. And now I feel like there's a lot of people and a lot of local bands that can handle a bill by themselves and pack a room of 300 people in Quebec City, which is really great with only local bands, because we don't receive more of the big touring packages. So we had to do our own thing. So right now there's a few great bands. There's a band Apes that plays like you love them, you know them. They comes from the hardcore scene, but they are so infused in metal. Like there's some grind in it, there's some death in it, there's even some black at some point. And Good, which is the singer, he's doing most of our work too, like artistic work, from the design of the t-shirt, and he did the previous Infinite Punishment cover design. So he's a great artist. So I love Apes. There's a band called Boundaries from Quebec too, not to be mixed up with Boundaries from the States. And so those guys are really like our brothers. There's Peer Pressure with Victoria playing in it. There's a band from Trois-Rivières called Northwalk that's moving. A band called Scarfold from Montreal that's moving a lot. They just did like Pax, the guitar player, that is the guy like who's doing more the business and the booking and something, is doing the same job as me in his band. He's just going on and never stop. He just plays and books tour in Europe, DIY constantly. So he's grinding hard. So I gotta put my hats off to them, Scarfold. And there's a few in all genre, actually. Like there's Feels Like Home from Quebec City, who can pack some rooms, and who's doing their own thing, which is more like metalcore. There's a ton of band, actually. There's Care, there's Bat, there's many band. The scene is pretty alive. And in Montreal, there's a ton of band. Like I cannot announce it yet because it's not done, but we're gonna release the record in November around Quebec. Like we're gonna do a couple of shows, and I asked a few of the newer bands in Montreal. The scene is pretty alive. Like there's Scorching Tomb, that's pretty active and that's pretty good. Desecrate. There's a Shut Away. There's a Category 514. So there's a bunch of bands.
Did you say the album's coming out in November?
No, actually, the album's coming in October, but we're going to be in Europe. We'll release the album on October 7th, but it's the kickoff of the tour with Terror and Lionheart. So we will do some party in November when we're going to be back. It's an exclusivity that I'm telling you, Steve. We're going to do a few shows just in Quebec and Montreal.
Yeah, well,
that will be announced soon.
That was going to be my next question, is what do you have planned for playing over here? Because I'm sure there's a lot of people waiting to see you. You know, you seem to have built this reputation within Quebec and Montreal, you know, which is where I am, that you're just one of those reliable bands that more and more people are going to come and see every single time. And I think every metal show I go to, I see a Get the Shot t-shirt. Like it's just, they're always out there. So I know that your band is very much beloved in this area particularly, but
we're still working really hard to do things, and we mostly do things by ourselves. I have great friends that can help us, and I will always give them a shout out and acknowledge their helps, the promoters, producers, and some other bands. But most of the time we do things by ourselves. We book the rooms, we do the promos, we stack the bills, and we do the pre-sale, we do the pre-orders, we do everything by ourselves. So we work really hard, and we're still grinding to do what we love, actually.
And I think now more than ever, the world needs new music from you guys. So yeah, we look forward to hearing the album in full, and we look forward to seeing it played in a room. But until then, thank you very much for your time,
Steve. That was really, really, really fun. That was a good one.
Thanks, man. No, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and genuinely I look forward to seeing you live. It's been a while since I saw you live last, but always a good time. So
stay aware, like in November we're going to be back, and if you see the guys from Terror and Knock Loose tonight, say hi from Get the Shot, right?
Yeah, well, it's at Olympia. It's a pretty big show. So
dude, Knock Loose are killing it. Of course Dying is on the bill and something, but Knock Loose is opening so many doors for the heavy music right now. Just a few years ago, we in our rehearsal spot, we have this huge flyers from Extensive that was a bill with Stick to Your Guns, Straight from the Path, Expire. It was Get the Shot and Knock Loose, and I see Knock Loose like on the small, and it just like it was in 2016. Now in 2022, Knock Loose are killing everything. They're packing rooms. I'm really happy for them. I'm really happy to see some heavy music back on top again.